Hello, this is Harold Smith, and this video is a sharing of Chuck Swindoll's words spoken at Beth-Shan in Israel on March 6, 2020. The title is Saul, a Study in Tragedy. And Chuck begins his message by saying, erosion is subtle and silent. What makes it so tragic is it can be happening in the person eroding, and he doesn't even know that it is happening. The story of King Saul is a study of tragedy. He had such a promise. He was the people's choice. They wanted a king, and Saul was the one. In 1 Samuel chapters 9, 10, and 11, you read of Saul, of the tribe of Benjamin, handsome, taller than any of the others in the tribe, impressive. But all of this is physical. You know these things by looking. But what you could not see was the erosion in the character of Saul, especially as he grew older and especially as David came on the scene. Let me add the practical side of this. Weak men can be so clueless. I speak freely because I am one of you. I love the story of the marriage that is beginning to fall apart, and the man is passive and the wife is aggressive. And they are just at each other's throat day after day, month after month, year after year, and finally it just reaches a breaking point. And it just looks like finally they are not going to make it. She said, we need help. So they go to a psychologist to talk about their problems. And the husband is sitting passive as he sits there. She's going on and on. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. He's unresponsive to matters that what I want to do or suggest. He does not have any creative ideas. While she's going on and on, the doctor gets up and walks around the table and looks at her, takes her by the shoulder, lifts her up, embraces her, and kisses her deeply. And then again, kisses her, embraces her, and by the shoulder sets her down, and then looks at her husband and says, she needs that. She needs to have that at least twice a week. The husband responded, I guess I can bring her Tuesdays and Thursdays. Clueless. Saul, as he got older, became increasingly more clueless. He did not realize his life was emptying almost by the minute, especially as David came on the scene. Joe Allen is a teacher of one of the buses. He gave me a quick little story of what I'm trying to say. Listen to this. My brother had 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. They were box seats. He paid $3,700 each for each ticket. He did not realize when he bought the tickets that the Super Bowl was on the same day of his wedding. Clueless. So now he can't go. If you are interested and would like to go in his place, it's at First Community Church in Atlanta, Georgia at 4 p.m. Her name is Tiffany. She's 5'3", weighs 110 pounds. She's a good cook, a good-looking lady, and makes $120,000 a year. She'll be the one in the white dress. Clueless. You don't get clueless overnight. You're not born clueless. You get clueless. You grow into it. And let's be honest, it's not just a man. It can be a clueless woman. Saul started well. He started strong. Very impressive. He looks like a man for the job. But he made one mistake after another, after another. Impatiently ran ahead, then did the work of a priest since he refused to wait for Samuel to come. He jumped ahead and he made a rash vow and almost took the life of his son Jonathan. And finally Samuel gets down to business and looks him in the eye and finally says, I want you to wipe out this tribe. Take them out, every one of them. Saul was not hard of hearing, he was hard of listening. He heard the instructions, the command was clear. But he saved back the king, and he saved back the animals, and he saved those things he felt were very important. So when Samuel shows up, he came to his own defense, of course. I know what the Lord commanded. Samuel said, well, what's that bleating of the sheep that I hear in my ear? Goliath came on the scene, and Saul was half the man that he used to be. Didn't have the courage to stand against the giant. Along came David. You know the story of David and Goliath. Saul watches all of this. Finally, after David shows himself strong and wins the heart of the people, Saul realizes that this man is stealing the limelight, which was never in David's plan. He simply wanted to deliver Israel from this uncircumcised Philistine that had the audacity to stand against the army of Israel. But Saul became jealous, and the jealousy ate him alive. He became no longer to hunt for Philistines. He's now hunting for David. When life erodes and it gets bad enough, it becomes blind to your own failings, your short-sightedness, envy, jealousy, and stupidity. Please listen to me today. F.B. Meyer, one of the great British pastors, left a legacy number of books, one called Christ in Isaiah. I found on page 9 a wonderful statement about erosion. Meyer writes that this is the bitterness of all that, to know that suffering need not have been. It is the resulting from indiscretions, inconsistencies, and neglect. It is the harvest of one's own sowing. The thoughts which feed on the vitals is the nestling of one's own rearing. End of quote. This is pain. The vulture that feeds on the vitals is nestling on one's own rearing. I don't know what you've done, the vulture in your midst. I don't know where you are in this tour. I don't know what it will take to awaken you who are clueless. I do not know who you are. Chances are good that you may not even know how out of touch you have become, because erosion is silent. It takes place without announcement, eating away a life like a skin cancer. It eats away at character. You can cover it up for a while. Before long, you're making foolish decisions. In the scripture, the fool is not the one who acts mischievously, but is the one who conducts his life as though there is no God. Saul's major mistake is he did not take God seriously. He knew what he should do, but he just couldn't get around to doing it. I mean, doing it thoroughly. David handles himself beautifully when he's on the run. He'll soon find himself in the caves of Megiddo. They're still there, where David made the caves his home. Saul wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill the man who had saved his life. How clueless. Even when David had Saul right where he wanted him, thinking of David as one of seeking revenge, he was not. David did not act against him. He respected him. Finally, Saul is haunted by the emptiness of his soul. No one suddenly becomes base. I love that statement. No church suddenly splits. No marriage suddenly fractures. No life suddenly falls. There's a period of time when erosion takes its toll, as it did with Saul. By the end, the king of Israel, now a hollow shell of a man, seeks the counsel of a witch to determine how to handle a situation he is facing. A witch at Endor. And in the dark of night, he spends time there. He gets no help, of course. He goes into greater confusion. Finally, the Philistines come closer and closer. Saul falls on his sword and dies of suicide. What a terrible way to finish a life. His 3 sons have been killed in battle, and now Saul is dead. The Philistines find him. What a catch. They cut off his head. They drive his body back to Beth-Shan. They hang it on a meat hook at Beth-Shan for all the people to make fun of him. This once proud king of Israel hanging headless on a meat hook. Read it for yourself. Along came the heroes of Jabesh, who pulled his body off and brought the body back, burned it, buried the bones. I don't know where you are in any of this. I don't know how the story affects us. I don't know if you're running away from something you need to address. I don't know if you're taking God seriously. I know that all of us can look like we're really spiritual, but in fact playing a game. God may be at work on you on this tour. I hope so. If you find yourself in that condition, He has wonderful ways of getting our attention. But we have to come with Him with open hands. Here's a quote. One by one He took them from me, all the things I valued most, till I was empty-handed. Every glittering toy was lost, and I walked earth's highways, grieving in my rags and poverty, until I heard His voice inviting, lift those empty hands to me. End of quote. Maybe on this tour it's time to empty your hands and get rid of things that are keeping you from coming up close to the living God. This ends Chuck's words spoken to us at Beth-Shan in the amphitheater on March 6,